while looking at the market, we understand the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty around what's happening. At least the way people present what's going on feels like, okay, there is something wrong. But if you do look at things like this, then you kind of get an idea of why what we are seeing is happening, the base cost. But there is different opinions in the market. You can get to see a lot of different perspectives. For sure, each of every one of us will have our own thought process. But this is where I kind of try to give you guys the understanding. In a way, you see this and you can back test it and see whether that's true or not. So, what exactly is happening with Bitcoin right now? What really is the price action showing us? So, you look at XRP, there is a probability of this. You look at Ether and you're like, okay, that's still holding on to the breakout to the upside. You're looking at the market cap, the altcoins. You're like, that's still above this resistance. Why? Dollar is breaking to the upside. At least it opened to the upside and it is trying to push higher. That's something important. That's one of the reasons why the market is slow. But then you actually zoom in on that and you're like, okay, the RSI is breaking higher. You're kind of getting more strength. So that is reflecting here in the crypto market as well. By the time we understand the fact that the total crypto market is still bullish, the strength is still in the overbought territory. A lot of people misunderstand this, but that's not how that goes. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. We're now going through an area in time where the winter is really harsh in these locations and there are electricity grid issues. So this is kind of coming back into the picture. But the reality of it is you have to keep this in mind. Yes, the ETF came alive. These guys actually took in like 11,000 Bitcoin. And every day we are only getting new 900. So the supply coming in is being absorbed. So are they like, the biggest holders? They're becoming one? Maybe. But the truth is, Coinbase is like this. Grayscale, and you go all the way down and you see MicroStrategy. So you're looking at this and you're like, whoa, that's a lot in the top three. Binance, Grayscale, and Coinbase. So if you do understand that well, these institutions who are coming out with the ETFs, they're much bigger than Coinbase, Grayscale, or Binance. So what they want is to buy this asset as much as possible and become the biggest holders, not allowing the crypto platforms to be one. That's one of the reasons, because they understand the fact that governments will not stop printing money. And this is coming all the way from 1960s to date. When you zoom in, you do understand the fact that, okay, we are watching our purchasing power being eroded by the politicians, the bureaucrats. They want free money, they print it, they spend it. Now, why did we actually see a lot of movement? Because now they have multiple options, which is true. You have a lot of different providers giving you the ETF in Bitcoin and they can play around. So this is happening in and out. Now, this is a perspective in the market, which I respect. And I'm like, okay, fine. That still is showing you a probability that maybe that is still possible, right? Maybe. But when we take the data just from 2017, yes, this is 100% valid. But the issue is when we actually go back from 2009 and try to look at what's happening on a macro front, this becomes like, okay, maybe this is what we should be looking at. Are we at the bottom? No, for sure, we are not. Are we at the top? Nowhere near that, right? So we kind of get an understanding of where we are going with this. The market is showing us the reality. But while that play out, you're still watching crypto market kind of being volatile. Not a lot of assets are performing well, especially XRP. It tried to push higher on a short-term movement, but that did not end up well. We slowly came back down. But the positive thing here is the fact that when Bitcoin actually broke to the downside, XRP did not. And that comes as a surprise because usually that's not how things work. What we have seen in last 2.5 years is entirely different, which shows some sentiment change towards the altcoins with some sort of fundamentals. So the buying power is still there. They're trying to buy in on these assets. Now, what really is happening with Bitcoin? This is something we all are thinking about. Okay, we kind of got a signal where the price is going up, the RSI is going down, it's not looking good. Fine, we saw that. Now, what's happening here with the candle? Have we seen similar candles before? That's something we need to ask ourselves, right? Whether it's on a short-term chart or you go on a daily chart, look it through and you're like, okay, this was the bottom. Just the opposite of that happened to be the top. So that showed a lot. And here you tried to go back up, but the next candle itself faked it out. So it worked. When you're getting these signals, whether to the downside or to the upside, it is kind of working. So you can go back all the way and you can retest it wherever you want to look through, but you kind of get the results almost similar. Either you mark the bottom with that or you start moving higher, just like what we have seen all these times. So we're going all the way back to 2022, right? And we're like, okay, that played out. 2023, that played out. And as of now, this is what we are watching. So can we really fake out and drop below this? That's still a possibility. We cannot ignore that fact. And if we do, okay, bears are still in huge control. But when you zoom a little bit out, and this is something you're watching, you have to put the argument like, okay, as of now, you're still looking at the bulls. They are in control. So what if they do this before it bounces? Yeah, that's how things work, right? In the market, till this point, this is how the market works. Whether you go in the gold, whether you go into Bitcoin, it's almost acting in a similar way. For the bad news to come in, you need to look at this, right? You're looking at this asset on a monthly, and you're like, okay, each time we have been in this range, we have seen the price doing something. What is that? This range came in way just before you entered the overbought zone. You go back up here, just before you entered the overbought zone, what happened in the price action? This. So there's a monthly candle, so there is a lot happening on a short-term chart. Again, you go all the way back to 2012, and just while the price was trying to push higher, the RSI was trying to enter the overbought territory, you got this candle which showed I'm going down. So the price action was showing you all these different signals from a long period of time. Yes, you have to wait another 15 days to see how the monthly ends, but when you look at the overall crypto market, if Bitcoin has to drop all the way down, maybe 10,000, maybe 5,000, maybe 3,000, depending on who you ask, now you're looking at this and putting the perspective like, okay, if Bitcoin is to drop, don't you actually think the crypto market will not go up? The altcoin market may do well. Bitcoin should go down. If that's the perspective completely, then the question is, this chart should show you it's going down, right? Because as of now, the money reallocating from Bitcoin just to the altcoin market should be enough to push altcoins to all-time highs, most likely for most of them, right? So in that sense, you're not watching this going up. But right now, that's not what you are watching here, right? So you go on a monthly and you ask the question like, do we have room to the upside? Are we showing something similar to the history? So when you come to that question like this market is over, bear season is starting, and whether that season is for a week or for a year, depending on what you look at, is different. Otherwise, you'll literally go like, I'm not talking about that, right? So each and every time, while the weekly RSI was inside the overbought territory, don't think like, okay, that's the roof, you hit the roof and now you're going down. It's a little bit different than that. If you do look at this, what you do understand is buyer strength is still at the top. Sellers are weak. Buyers are really strong. That should be the perspective which we should take in, because history shows us that has been the fact. You entered into this territory, you slowed down there. You entered into this territory, you slowed down there. What happened in the price action? Yeah, you did slow down, but while you remained in that and consolidated there, price went up. So you didn't need a lot more strength to come in because the sellers were already weak and the buyers were super strong. That helped the price to go back up. So now let's zoom in on what we are watching here on a weekly, just the price action terms, because this is including XRP, Bitcoin, and everything else in crypto. You're like, okay, there is a shooting star formation coming in. There is like, all the long wicks, indecision candles, all of them coming in. But for this to get confirmed, you need to see this range break to the downside. You need to see this candle being erased to the downside, the MACD and the RSI going to the downside. As of now, we don't have that. So the primary thing we'll all watch is, okay, what's Bitcoin doing? Are we pulling back to the trend line support? That's something we all would like to see, so that if you're new here and you're looking for opportunities, you'll actually get those. But remember, if you go back in Bitcoin history all the way, use a weekly, monthly, whichever you want. But when you do go back and measure the number of days taken for this asset to go up and top out, that's something. The retest happened here. So it's 1,000 days to the upside. Not bad, not bad. You come here and you're like, okay, this was the bottom. You started from there and topped out here. Okay, kind of 1,000 days. Fine, I get the point. Now you come all the way back here and you're taking from the bottom till the top. It's like, okay, 780 days. I cannot get that. Right? So yeah, going all the way back, and what you see is that with time, it has increased and now it's getting kind of saturated. So what do you think is the number of days of this bull season going to be from the bottom? Right now we're here. Do you think that is going to be the top? It's up to you. But again, if you're putting that question, like I saw a lot of questions in the comment section asking about a retracement. Let me ask this. If you see the price topping off and then there is a retracement, it should be like this. We saw something similar here due to Corona. Agreed? But did that go into a new low? No, it went up. You came back down. So if this is your retracement, this is what you're looking for, and a bounce. That is a higher low, most likely, not something here. That's a big difference from what we are watching. So you topped out here. You came back down. Did we get a retracement and a drop? No, we did not. So that is a key point I'm making here, trying to illustrate the fact that if you do look at things as clear as possible, this is your support. So you need to break this to say, okay, that trend, macro trend is done and you're going to the other direction. If that's to happen, you're breaking here, I would say, okay, you're talking about this. That's a bad scenario, right? That's too worse of a scenario. For sure, these kind of things at least should not be ignored. But the primary question is, if you think this is topping out, there should be a carnage in the market, not only in the Bitcoin market, but in the altcoin market as well. Go back in time, look at each of these. You can compare it directly here. You can go take in the total 2 would be the best thing here. You take in the total 2 and you go through that. You want to actually see, okay, when that's happening here, a carnage, what do you think is happening in the altcoins? Do you see something? I mean, this is excluding Bitcoin, right? The orange line. The other thing is Bitcoin. So if you are putting the argument that Bitcoin is done, it's going all the way down, then the argument for all coins to go up does not make much sense. This is what we have seen historically. Going all the way back as far as you want, and you can do that. but you do get to see something similar. There is a little bit of lag for sure, but not a huge one. So if Bitcoin stays here and the altcoin catch up, that's a great thing for us. But if Bitcoin is dropping like this, a huge red candle from here to the bottom. Now, that's not how the market actually works for sure. But if you get the understanding, it's like this. If that's happening here, altcoin is following that. It's not going to go to the upside. So what about the utility? What about this? What about that? Every different question comes into the picture. So make sure you understand what everyone else is giving in this market. You'll have thousands of different opinions, but the final judgment is made by you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to break things down as much as possible, because this is the decision point. If you take the wrong decision here and you watch the market is pumping through the roof, you have that negative opinion about the market. You're like, okay, it's going to top out here. It's going to top out here. It's going to top out here. What if the price reaches 50? What if the price reaches 60? You're still looking for that retracement. You're still thinking about different perspective being laid out in the market. So the final decision should always be made by you. And that's one of the reasons why I say, okay, we in the SI family try to give you the macro, the micro, and as much charts and understanding as possible in order to keep you guys best educated crypto investors. So if you would like to get those, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, smash that like button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.